Hi everyone, I've just got a glass of wine on the go. I'm waiting for my dinner to cook. I'll make no apologies for having a quick drink, although I'm definitely more of a beer man than a wine guy, so but I'm a bit low on beer, so I'd look after my reserves quite sensibly. Just wanted to do a little quick update on the aeroplane. So yeah, nothing's really been happening much. There's been a fair amount of flying going on, which is good. There's no point in building an aircraft if you can't fly it. Gliding mostly though, I haven't done much power stuff. And also work on the house and work on various other little projects that I've had going on. But it's time now to knuckle down and get back into the plane. Yeah, it was too cold to work. It's now variously a little bit too hot to work, but I think the temperature's settling down, so we're in that phase. The first thing I need to do is make one of these. It's really annoying. I made a mistake in the build, and I wasted the person I got the kit. Kit. It's a part built thing, but he'd done everything really, and I followed the plan, and I put one of these gussets in the wrong place. So I'll need to grind that one off and then make a new one of these myself. So I'll be sourcing a bit of ply like that. I haven't really bought much wood for ages, so I need to go back to Satco, I think Swindon Aircraft Timber Company, if they even still exist, and see if I can source a piece of this ply. I'm going to have to get the wing spar material from them anyway, so it probably would be good to re-establish contact with them, but yeah, a bit annoying. There you go. So other than that, I have the great imponderable of the wing spar. I just thought I'd recap what the issue is with that through the medium of a bit of drawing. Hopefully this will work. Where I'm sitting I can actually see what you're seeing just about, with the camera just pointing down. I'll try to keep this as brief as possible. Essentially the wing, if I attempt to draw the underside of the fuselage, there's steps like that, and then you have the, if you can imagine, the wing sits there like that. The main spar sits up against a frame in the fuselage here that does that. This angle here, that's the incidence. So the angle that this frame makes with the I guess the datum of the fuselage sets up the angle of incidence of the wing. So the wing kind of does that, and this is the main spar, as I said here, which is laminated up, and that actually this frame here I think extends pretty much up to the top of the fuselage there, and the cockpit, you essentially sit on top of the wing, so the pilot seat's sort of here-ish. Hopefully that is clear. And your rudder pedals are down here, and the stick is sort of here. And there's your windscreen. So yeah, so that's where I thought I was going. It turns out that the spar that I need to make is reinforced front and rear with a 15mm thick reinforcing pieces that run, if you can imagine, the spar is kind of like doing something like that with a bit of dihedral. So that's the top surface there, and the bottom surface of the spar is here and here. So for part of its length, there is a kind of additional reinforcing patch like that. Can you see that? Yes, hopefully. So that has a certain amount of thickness, and in fact there's another one over here as well. So if I do that, God, that's dreadful. Try and draw that. That's the other side. Hopefully that is visible. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad. Now this thickness here, from memory, is 15 millimeters. So here and here, 15 millimeters. So what that does is that essentially makes this spar deeper. Okay, so we've got a problem then, because if this spar is deeper and we're bolting onto this frame using a couple of bolts, I can't remember exactly how it works, but there's a couple of bolts here. If we're bolting through there, if this spar is deeper, it's going to push the whole thing back. Okay, so having consulted, what has been done so far by people to get around this is that they have translated the spar backwards within the wing ribs, so allowed the whole spar to move backwards relative to the fuselage. So so the wing ribs are kind of made up in two halves, a front part and a rear part. Well, with the rear spar back here, and then a kind of a trailing edge like that. So the spar sits in there. So what they've done is they've remade the ribs with the spar further back, so that the wing remains in the right place relative to the fuselage, even though the spar is thicker. So they move the spar back within the wing ribs. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I've got, as far as I can tell, I've got a bunch of wing ribs made up already for the spar in its original position, and I don't want to remake all those ribs, and so for two reasons. One, it just doesn't feel like a very sensible way to solve this problem. Secondly, if you move the spar backwards relative to the aircraft, you are materially changing the shape of the wing, albeit a tiny little bit, because you've moved that spar, whatever the maximum depth of the section is, you've moved it back only by a tiny bit, but it's still changing the aerodynamic shape of the wing in theory. So that was one thing that I didn't like about it. Secondly, you're taking a very heavy item and moving it back, right, which is generally is going to move the centre of gravity back, and I know enough about aircraft to know that moving the centre of gravity back is generally more problematic than moving it forward. You're reducing stability. So that's not good. Thirdly, there are a number of items of hardware that connect to the wing spar, not least the stick, and I think some of the control runs connect to the wing spar, and some of the pulleys possibly connect to the spar, but don't quote me on that one. So if you move the wing spar backwards, you have to you have to accommodate for all that in all of the structure and bits and pieces that are inside the wing, because anything bolted to the spar has moved back by, 15 millimeters. So the rear reinforcing plate is less material, because it's as in not so important, because it's not driving the location of the spar relative to this frame. So I don't want to do that. Hi everyone. Just felt the need to pause the video that I was recording. In fact, I recorded it a few days ago, so I'm just going to edit this in. Just because I think it's important to clarify something. You will all recognise this as the Titan submersible that sadly suffered a catastrophic failure on a dive to go and visit the wreck of the Titanic. Now, there's been a lot of commentary. I don't need to add to that. I think there's people who are far more qualified than I to talk about this. However, it appears that the person who engineered this machine did so outside of the normal regulatory body's approval, I guess, the type certification you might call it. So many of the parts of this vehicle were maybe not what would be fitted to a machine that conformed to those standards. So it occurred to me that it may appear what I'm doing with the airplane in terms of proceeding without the approval of the LAA is akin to this, and will result in a similar unfortunate ending. Now, this is not the case. If I ever finish the aircraft, it will not fly without being approved and certified as being fit to fly. The risk that I'm taking by going ahead at this time is that I will complete an aircraft that is not considered fit to fly, and I will have to go through quite a lengthy and complicated process of getting that certification. But I just wanted to make it absolutely clear that no one is going to fly any aircraft that I built without the full approval of whatever body exists at the time that I complete it. Presumably and hopefully the LAA will still be around, but whoever it is, it will be certified and approved as being airworthy 100% by whichever body that is before it leaves the ground. So just to make that very clear, as I say, I am taking a risk here, but the risk is simply that I finish an aircraft and then it becomes a beautiful piece of art, or a beautiful but not airworthy replica of something that looks like a Turbulent. Obviously I sincerely hope that by the time I get there I will have done all the work that needs to be done to make sure that the mod that I have undertaken is approved. So yeah, I hope that's clear. If it isn't, please drop me a line in the comments and I will try and make it as clear as possible. But I'm certainly not taking the kind of risks that this team did in their attempt to change and disrupt the world of deep sea exploration. I guess that's probably a laudable aim, but as you can see, if you work outside the regulators, it ends in tragedy, and I'm very much aware of that. Okay, hope that helps. Thanks very much indeed. Probably maybe back to the main video again, and yeah, I wish you all well. So, what I intend to do is move the frame just trying to copy my previous drawing. The frame that accepts the spar, I intend to move that 15mm forwards. What that will do, it will mean that the spar with its thicker section will remain in the same place relative to the fuselage. The wing will essentially be aerodynamically the same as before, because the spar outside of the centre section, the spar goes back to being its normal width. So almost all of the ribs will be completely unaffected. The spar, where it's relative to the rest of the fuselage, this location for the spar will be the same, and all that will have happened is that a relatively light and small component will have moved forwards that way a bit. So we're talking about a relatively large rearward movement of the CG as compared to a relatively small forward movement of the CG. And I'll take the forward movement rather than the rearward movement. Away from the centre section here, all of the rest of the wing will be completely structurally the same. All the ribs will be the same. No need to remake any ribs. There will be a few ribs that I'll have to adapt for the centre part here, but the rest of the ribs won't have to change at all. So that's where I'm at. I was, up until kind of the middle of last year, talking to the LAA about it. I haven't heard back from them. I need to re-establish contact with them. But at the moment, I am minded simply to proceed because I don't see any valid engineering reason to substantially redesign the wing in order to accommodate relieve me of the need to move a minor fuselage component. It's not a minor component; it's an important component because it bolts. But it's a minor shift of the fuselage frame forward. I can't see any real engineering reason why that would substantially change the performance of the fuselage from a structural perspective. So yeah, so I'm kind of thinking I'm going to just grit my teeth and go for it. I was warned off doing that because of the need to make my case to the LAA that the aircraft will still be airworthy. I don't think those calculations will be hugely challenging, and furthermore, I'm not going to have to confront that for probably about 5 years. So by the time I get there, I will have worked out how to do it, I think. But yeah, so there's no reality. I mean, feel free to chuck loads of stuff in the comments if you want. There's no reality that makes sense to me where moving that fuselage frame a little bit forward and keeping the wing basically completely in the same structurally the same, and all of the pickups and connections and hardware that fits to the wing, leaving that located exactly as designed. There's no reality where that, to me, is more. So I'm getting confused which way around I got it now. But moving the frame forward seems like the easiest and least risky thing to do. Moving the spar backwards within the wing ribs and redesigning the whole wing feels like a much more risky and difficult prospect with more question marks hanging over it, and I think it would fundamentally kill the project. I don't think I could cope with doing it. So this is what I'm going to do, having triple, quadruple checked that I'm right in my thinking and where I think everything is. So that's where we're at. I need to get on the phone and order some plywood, and then haven't even had any wine. That's not bad. So there we are, 15 minutes, that'll do. That's enough for now. Yeah, so hopefully a little bit more actual build action soon for people to enjoy. Should that be the sort of thing that floats your boat? I mean, in principle, it's probably worth noting that the reason that I make these films is as a document for myself, and also as a resource for anyone else who might be confronting the same issues that I have. And I know there have been people who've said they watched the videos, they're working on their own aircraft, and they've watched them and it's been helpful. So that to me is the point of this. Hence, you know, I've been making videos about other stuff that is also interesting, the water wheel stuff and all the rest of it, which I guess might be a bit frustrating to some people, but actually we get a fair amount of views from that. So it's appealing to some people. So yeah, your patience is greatly appreciated. Yeah, okay, thank you very much indeed. That's it. It's quite nice to do this. I might have a quick swig of wine. I wish you all well. Oh blimey, that's quite tart. I wish you all well, and see you on the next one. And I'll try and turn this off without getting my finger in the way. There we go.